Hello and welcome to Talkin' Baseball. The Braves are eating ice cream and keeping the core together. The umps respond, and I want to talk about a little playoff formula I've been mixing up in my brain. Let's do it. Hello and welcome to Talking Baseball, brought to you by SeatGeek. My name is Jimmy, and I'm joined by producer BBD, and that is all I'm joined by as Jake is away. He's on a fantasy draft golf outing that he does every single year. And Trevor, trip. I'm not sure where Trev is actually.
Yeah, I've been meaning to ask what he's got going on.
I think he's in Cabo. No, I just saying that whenever he's away. So one-man show and BBD, obviously, so two-man or however you want to say that. How are you doing, young David?
I'm doing well. I'm really excited for the episode we've got cooked up.
Yeah, I did a lot of prep. I planned out an episode. There's a lot of baseball to talk about. There was a lot of weird stuff that happened this week that I wanted to make breakdowns of, or I'm making breakdowns of. And then the umpires responded. Someone on Reddit put out a really good report on all the closers, which I love that stuff. The Braves are doing some fun stuff just as like an organization. And then I spent like all morning putting together a Google sheet that we'll see. I was trying to figure something out. I think I spent like an hour on it. I'll share it with you guys when I get to it later in the show. Just kind of about the condensed playoffs and what it could mean for what teams, because they announced that there's not going to be off days in between. So that's kind of the bigger topics that I'm excited to talk about. I know on this show, we try to cover every team. I think you guys have been able to tell. I'm not really for that. If this show continues to be a 2-hour, we have to recap every series that happened show. I might not be long for the show. Might just be like a midweek guest because I straight up can't do it. A lot of the reviews, there's a whole thing on Reddit, and it was like, Jimmy's been so grouchy lately. And while it's been an incredibly stressful year for me, lost another 2 pounds, BBD. Straight stress, not good.
Not the way you wanted to.
Yeah, I really don't enjoy recapping every single series. Like I really, really don't enjoy that. So if I've seen grumpy on episodes when we are planless and topicless, oh yeah, that's just not that. So I get control of the show today. I'm doing the show I want. I am going to put 30 minutes on the clock, and I'm going to go 1 minute on each team. Now, some teams have cool stuff going on, so I'll pause it and have conversations about things if I need to. Some teams have nothing going on, so at that point, well, they might only get 30 seconds or whatever it is, but that's today's show. And then, like I said, I got some stuff that I've been just, rabbit hole stuff in the baseball world that I've been into, which is umps responded. Guy on Reddit made a report about closers, condensed postseason, how it's affecting, and the Braves. So I can talk about the Braves then. So anyway, we will get into the 30 minutes. Every team. I had Max on the research. I made a template. I said, Max, can you fill out this template for me so I can share some information about every single team in the league? And that's what we're going to do to start the show. Unless, BBD, you have something you really want to talk about.
Something pops up.
Start.
No, not before we get going. Maybe some team will spark something.
All right, cool. This 30-minute, 1 minute per team recap is brought to you by Let's Go Roman, because it's all about tea support, and I guess the two high tea guys on the show aren't here. So this is for me.
I don't
think I'm a high tea guy. Trev is, for sure. I think Jake is. BBD, not to drag you in, I think you and I might be the low tea guys of Talking Baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we have to go to getroman.com/talkin, and we can get their Roman T support. It'll give us confidence. It'll help us prioritize our health and our sense of well-being. It's a great place to start for our testosterone health. All right.
And if we go to getroman.com/talkin today, if approved, we'll get $15 off our first order of Roman T support, as will anybody in the audience. Link in the description.
Nice. GetRoman.com/talkin. How about Roman? They've been with us forever. That's cool. Appreciate that. So the way we have this organized is worst to first, unless they got changed in the last couple of days. I don't know if we're like up to date, but 3 days ago, unless they did, I don't know.
I think the worst to first order, I don't think has changed. I know all our last 10-day records and that stuff was updated this morning. Playoff odds updated this morning. So
okay, cool.
Maybe the order, I assume it's still right.
Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. The Washington Nationals, last place in the National League. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Cubs. They won the first game, and then they lost the next 2. They're 36.5 back in the division and 25.5 back in the wild card. 4-6 in their last 10. But Nelson Cruz, he's taken off. They probably wish this happened before the trade deadline, so they could have moved him. In the last 10 games, he's batting .310. He's got 9 hits, a homer, 3 multi-hit games in this stretch. So just a little too late. If the waiver wire deadline was still around, Nelson Cruz, he'd be dropped on it and moved to a team, but it's not. So he's just stuck in Washington. I think he's there next year too. So they got another chance, but they have the best outfielder in the game, Joey Meneses. Is that how you say it, BBD?
Yeah, I believe it's Meneses. I haven't actually heard it, but I went to Hebrew
I haven't
school
heard
with a guy
it,
with
yeah.
the same spelling last name, and it was Meneses. And Trevor was teammates with him. I don't know if he's mentioned that on an episode that you were on, but
yeah, I think he's said it before. So maybe I've heard Trev say it, but I didn't listen carefully enough.
He and Voit, because Voit keeps ending up in these situations where he's splitting first base. They got a fun first base DH right field thing going on.
He's been playing right field, right? Because I saw the joke that Joey Meneses is the best right fielder in the game.
Right field, first base.
They traded Soto so they could replace him with Meneses. I read that joke somewhere. So yeah, Meneses is going crazy. 412, 444 on base percentage, 794 slugging, 14 hits and 4 homers. Has accounted for 4 of the team's 12 homers in that 10-game stretch. How about that? Corey Abbott makes the longest start of his career, 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs in the 3rd game. But newly acquired Jake McGee gives up the go-ahead knock in the 3rd game as a National. In his 3rd game as a National. They got a lot of guys making their debuts. Abrams makes his Nats debut in game 1. He goes 0 for 4. Cruz hit a go-ahead homer. The playoff odds for the Nationals are 0.1%. Not good. The 14th best team in the National League, the Pirates, they dropped 2 out of 3 to the Red Sox, and Keith Hernandez just torched them on air. Keith Hernandez said that they were nameless. He said, you go to the Royals, at least they got prospects and fun names, but the Pirates are just nameless. I forget the full quote. I wish I had it up, but yeah, he kind of torched them. They played into it. And I somewhat disagree. Like O'Neal Cruz is a fun prospect. They got some other guys that I don't think are as exciting as Bobby Witt Jr., but I don't think
not as many guys are supposed to be there long term.
Brian Hayes, he's still young. O'Neal Cruz is like lighting up StatCast every night. They got Brian Reynolds isn't a rookie, but he's a name. I wouldn't pin it on the players the way he did. I would just say, like, it stinks that their front office is like the Pirates forever have been trading, especially when they traded with the Yankees for Ronzi Contreras and what's our other guy that we like his name. It's a fun name.
Oh, from the Yankees.
The pitcher, Hoy Park and
they traded Diego Castillo, not the pitcher.
Yo-Yo. We had a nickname for him.
Oh, Miggy Yahoo.
Miggy Yahoo. Like
Yeah,
the Pirates were trading for those guys, Hoy Park, Miggy Yahoo, Ronzi Contreras, not top prospects, but they kept saying, we just want MLB ready players because that's what Keith's talking about. They wanted to play. They just wanted to play rookies. Yeah, because they're cheaper. So it is true. But Brian Reynolds had a 2-homer game, 4 homers in his last 10 games. He's going crazy. Let's see. It says he was riding an 0-15 streak when he got activated from the IL on July 15th. So he's a hot now. Rodolfo Castro gets suspended 1 game for having his phone in his pocket.
We've gone Makes 2 minutes on both teams.
I think everyone agrees it wasn't malicious and he wasn't cheating, but it's also, hey, you can't have tech on the field, so they have to do something.
Got to set a precedent.
Yeah. Michael Chavis, I mean, he's their 3rd hottest hitter. It's not that hot. But there's that kid who does all those interviews on the field where he asks MLB players on TikTok and Instagram stuff like what they lift and how much they work out. And Chavis grabbed the mic, flipped it on him. I also wish I knew that kid's account since I'm shouting him out. And it was the most personality I've seen out of Chavis in a while, and I thought that was fun. So that's a Pirate update. Michael Chavis had fun with the kid who does interviews about weightlifting. Someone in the chat said it, hodgepodge of nothingness. I mean, have we made hodgepodge of nothingness shirts yet? Like, they should start wearing that with pride with all the silhouettes of all the guys on there. That'd be awesome.
Sending that to our people right now.
Playoff odds for the Pirates, 0.1%. The Reds in 13th place in the NL. They lost to the Phillies 4-3, then 11-4. And then they won a nail biter 1-0 on Wednesday. The Reds are 19.5 back in the division, 17.5 back in the wild card. They're 3-7 in their last 10. Votto is out for the season with season-ending surgery on something that he thinks happened in 2015 that he's been dealing with and able to overcome, but can't anymore. He's got 1 more year in his contract and then a club option, which I don't think is going to get picked up. He's 38. I watched 1 episode of the Jeter doc, and it was when Jeter got injured at 38, and it was about how he's the most miserable ever because he didn't want that to be his last year in baseball. He wanted to come back and play. So I feel for Votto because I think he's probably feeling the same stuff, wants to come back and play. Maybe he didn't want to finish out this season and then have his last year, next year, potentially last year, be awful. And so maybe he's trying to get it fixed so his last year in MLB can be a fun one and he can feel healthy. So that's the biggest Reds news coming out. I mean, the Reds have played better ball since April. Kyle Farmer, he's been going off the last 10 games, got a 405 average, 15 hits, just 1 extra base hit, though. So 421 on base and a 431 slugging. Was that 1 extra base hit a homer?
Looks like it may have been.
Because otherwise the slugging would be lower, I think. But,
so.
Yeah. That's the Reds. 0.1% the playoffs. The Cubs, they won the 2 games against the Nationals. They're 16 back in the division, 14 back in the wild card. Franmil Reyes, they picked him up after he got let go by the Guardians, and he's going off for them. 367. He's got 6 extra base hits, 2 home runs. It was very weird that the Guardians let Franmil Reyes go. It very much seemed he had options, I believe. They were just kind of done with dealing with him. The rumors were that he didn't want to play the field. He just wanted a DH, I believe, and he just wanted to hit homers, and they kind of wanted him to play the outfield and not just be a DH. I think that's the situation. I think the Mariners are going through the opposite situation with the player. Maybe we'll get to that later. But good for Franmil. Came back. He's hitting 2 home runs. Ian Happ, our dude, he's got a 290 batting average, 325 on base, 6 extra base hits, 3 home runs, 8 RBIs in his last 10 games, had an 8-game hit streak with multiple hits in 4 of those games. So good for our guy, Ian Happ. He said when he was mic'd up for that game that he thinks of himself as a righty and a lefty as 2 different people, kind of like how people who speak multiple languages sometimes say they have different personalities. Like they could be really feisty in one language, but really timid in another. So I kind of want to ask Ian Happ, like, who would win in a fight, your righty batter or your lefty batter? Like, who's smarter, righty or lefty? Because I think he's got answers for that. I think he'd know.
Yeah.
Like right away. He just knows the personalities of his righty hitter and his lefty hitter.
To think about it.
So if you say that they're 2 different people, then explain those 2 different people to me. Good job by Happ. Bad job by the Cubs. 0.1% playoff chances. Oh my God. The Rockies got swept by the Cardinals. The Rockies swept the Cardinals at home a while ago, and since then have won like 4 out of the last 30 at home or something crazy like that. They're 31.5 back in the division, 14.5 back in the wild card. Ryan McMahon, he's their top hitter in the last 10, and he's got a 273, 333 on base. He's their top hitter in their last 10 games. He's got a 737 OPS, which isn't amazing. Looks like actually Grichuk is better. We just have him in a weird order. Good. Grichuk likes us. I like Grichuk.
Yeah, he had a bit of a revenge game against the Cardinals when they swept them. That was nice.
Rockies never swept the Cards. They swept someone. It was the Phillies, maybe
1-2 out of 3 against the Cardinals. I think
they won a series at home, and since then they haven't won anything. They look at this. The Brewers traded for the Brewers got Dinelson Lamet from the Padres. Then they DFA'd him right away. It was just to clear roster space. He was coming back from injury. They put Lamet in, the Rockies do, and he goes walk, infield single, hit by pitch, walk off, hit by pitch to lose it. Maybe that guy wasn't ready. I don't know. I don't know. That's it. That's enough for the Rockies. The Marlins. Marlins have some fun stuff going on to make me really wish they were fun. They beat the Padres 3-0. Then they beat them 4-3. They lost on Wednesday. Did they play yesterday? It wasn't a 4-game set, was it?
Don't think it was.
We don't have it as one, but I don't.
I'm looking.
Yeah, hold on. No. So
nope.
Just a 3-game. They won the series. They lost game 3. Jacob Stallings, 400 batting average, 478. He's hot. Too tall to be a catcher. Weeders kind of changed the game, huh? JJ Bleday, pretty fun name. He's got a 182 batting average. Not great. 5 of his 6 career hits are extra base hits, including 2 homers. So he's got a 182 batting average and an 826 OPS, which is 3rd on the Marlins in the last 10 games. How about that? JJ Bleday. End of the season, the playoff chances are 0.1. Just swing hard and hit homers. Pablo Lopez got touched up. That's not fun.
Dang.
Maybe he knew he was going to get traded, so he's sad.
Yeah.
Him and Glaber texting.
Cronenworth grand slam got him.
Jake's D-backs had a 4-game series against the Giants. They lost the first 2. They finished strong. They're only 9.5 back in the wild card. How about that? They're 6-4 in their last 10 games. Finished strong. I didn't check in on a lot of these highlights. I wonder if they're still just running like crazy, especially against the Giants. That's how they beat them when they were hosting them in Arizona. They just bunted and ran like nuts. Emmanuel Rivera, an odd trade that didn't get a lot of attention. He got traded from the Royals because they were just out of room. His start to his D-backs career has been pretty nice. Since getting traded over, he's got 4 homers in the first 9 games. In the first 9 games since getting traded over, 355, 429 on base percentage. So Emmanuel Rivera. Honestly, we did the trade deadline and we're on top of everything. And I saw that and I was like, what? That trade happened?
Yeah, that one did not stick in my brain.
Josh Rojas is also having a really good season. Since July, he's got a 396 on base percentage. Might be higher now after the next 2 days, but yeah.
He had a nice year last year.
Crushing it. What's that?
He had a nice year last year.
Nothing crazy, and then Bumgarner was in San Francisco. He allowed 6 earned runs, but walked off to a non-ironic standing ovation. He was in San Francisco, which is just odd visual, but you get it. It fully makes sense and it's awesome. But a guy to kind of get it's funny for Bumgarner because there's no way he's satisfied or happy as he's walking off the mound, and then you're getting a road applause because they're just applauding. It's a legacy applause,
and they weren't doing it to troll him.
No, whoa, it's not ironic, but he's such a competitor that it's still funny. Even if that was your home crowd, it's such a competitor to be such a competitor to get just a standing ovation for a bad outing. It's funny. But that's nice of the crowd there. Okay. What else happened? The D-backs got walked off on. Ian Kennedy got the first 2 outs, then gave up a triple to Jake's Tyro. More on that when we get to the Giants. Gallen went 7.1 shutout innings with 12 Ks for the win. And their playoff odds, 0.6%. How about that? A little higher than the rest of the teams. I feel like I'm giving these teams more than a minute of my time.
Yeah, you've been about a minute 40 per.
What the fuck? And those are the bad teams. The Giants, we just did them. So that's funny. So the Giants are the eighth ranked team in the NL, and the D-backs are the 7th. They split, so they're closer than you would think. Lamont Wade, he's hitting. He's got 4 homers in his last 8 games. J.D. Davis, breaking some of our Mets friends' hearts by going off in San Francisco. Evan Longoria hit his first homer in a while. I think in a month. Yeah. They split. I don't know. The Giants, stop splitting with teams worse than you. Another split. The 7th seed Brewers won 2 games against the Dodgers. It was kind of an odd series. I watched the last game. McCutchen had some hits. Renfroe had some extra base hits. Rowdy Tellez, 5 for 27, but 2 homers. Still kind of hitting. The Brewers pitching is interesting to me. It's shallower than I remember or think. Hauser's out. I know that. Peralta's in. He doesn't go deep into games, but they love Peralta. I think he's working his way back.
He was out for a while with something. I forget exactly what.
Yeah. And says here the Brewers managed just 4 hits in game 3. Gonsolin went 7 shut with 2 hits. Their playoff odds, 51%. What a jump. What were the Giants' playoff odds? 3?
They are 3.
Giants' playoff odds were 3. The Brewers are 51. I guess there's 7 seed, 8 seed.
And Jake's been on it. At least one team in the NL is going to be absolutely heartbroken at the end of the year. Yeah.
Padres. We talked about it from the Marlins side. They lost 2 out of 3. They had the situation with Profar. I made a breakdown on it. I really don't think it was anything big. I think it's a cool moment. Like a lot of the people that watch the breakdowns don't follow baseball that much. Probably like 80% of the people. So I always like those moments that are kind of just like learning or like look how cool this sport is. That so much goes into it. Because Kim ran to the wrong outlet cutoff, and Profar didn't want to throw to him there because he was like, "Nah, the play's the third." And by the time he just threw it, Miggy Ross took advantage of him. And then they all like talked to him in the dugout. It wasn't a big deal. I think Manny Machado is just bad at tough love. I think he's just bad at
he's a little
communicating with teammates. He gets a little too tough. Musgrove comes over with the tough love. He goes, Musgrove walked over the pitcher who the earned run is against. And he kind of just like did a little like chest or fist to his chest and said, hey, don't do that. Just throw the fucking ball in. You're good. Let's go. And that's good tough love. And then Soto, he came in as he's the new teammate.
Yeah.
So he came in as good cop, arm over his shoulder, talked to him a little bit. I feel like it was nothing, although the Padres aren't winning yet. Manny Machado with his bat is doing a whole lot of talking. He's going off. I know this doesn't count last night, but he hit a 3-0 home run. That was like a bomb. But this stat, tweeted by Jesse Agler, was awesome. Manny Machado's 8th straight game with more than 1 hit. Last 2 Padres to do that, Sheffield in 93 and Tony Gwynn in 88. 8 straight games with multiple hits. Wow. Kim's hitting well. Soto's hitting well. All these individual good lines, but whenever I read what Padres fans are saying, they're saying the offense stinks. So I don't know. Their playoff odds are 58%. The Phillies took 2 of 3 from the Reds. They won the first game 4-3. Next game, they put up 11 spot and hit a bunch of home runs. The Phillies seem to hit home runs in bunches, especially against bad teams. If they play the Nationals or the Reds, it seems like they're going to hit 10 home runs that series.
They punish them.
Rhys Hoskins, he had 3 homers in his last 10 games. Bryson Stott is going off his last 10 games, and BBD's Derek Hall. Syndergaard had a good start. The Phillies had 5 homers in game 2. How about that? Ranger Suarez goes 7 shutout innings in game 3, but it got wasted. Their playoff odds, 91% for the Phillies. How about that? The East currently has 3 in the postseason, the NL East.
I will note for our audience, our playoff odds, I think all come from Baseball References playoff odds. Different websites have different formulas for it.
Yeah, I was reading about how they do it differently today, and then I was like, oh, I don't care. So I stopped reading it. The Braves played 4 against the Mets. If you remember, they played 4 the first weekend of August, and the Mets won 3 out of 4. This time, the Braves win 3 out of 4. And in their one loss, they kept inching and inching back and making the Mets use their pen. The Braves are 3.5 back in the division now, and they're 7.5 up as the first wild card. They're 9-1 in their last 10 games, and I believe they were promised an ice cream machine if they won the series by their GM, right? Is it Anthopoulos that did it? I think so. So they get a new ice cream machine. They call up the rookie Harris. He comes through. Their pitching's good. Fried goes 7 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. Harris knocked in the go-ahead run in the first. And even the game they lost, like I said, they trailed twice. They came back twice. They trailed 6-1. They cut that to 6-5. Then they trailed 9-5. They cut it to 9-7, and then lost. But to find good in a loss. So the Braves are having fun. A little more on the Braves was one of the topics I wanted to talk about, kind of like slower and at length. So I can maybe get to that then. Cardinals swept the Rockies. Good for the Cardinals. They're in a race. They're 3 up in the division now. They're 7-3 in their last 10. Albert Pujols hit a grand slam, and Waino went 7 innings pitched, and it's the first time a team has ever had a 40-year-old hit a grand slam and also a 40-year-old go 7 innings pitched, I believe, like that. So the old guys are doing it. Goldie continues to go nuts. Arenado has 8 extra base hits and 4 home runs in the last 10. So Cardinals are just doing it. Monty gives them another good start.
Gives up his first run as a Cardinal in this game. He's been really
I believe they're getting like somewhat good updates from Flaherty. So good things happening for the Cardinals. Their playoff odds, 95%, 80. Listen to this. Playoff odds, 95% to win the division, but they're only 3 up. To win the to make it as a wild card, 8.2%. And remember, the Phillies are kind of in the wild card right now, and they have the tiebreaker over the Cardinals. So it looks like the NL Central is going to be a 1-team division, no wild card spot, I think. And good for the Cards. They have the games right now. The Mets, they are the second best team in the NL. They dropped 3 of 4 to the Braves. They had some injury scares. Cookie Carrasco exits early. He's going to miss 3 to 4 weeks with a low-grade left oblique. The next day, Taijuan Walker comes out early, but they think he'll be good, and he's going to be all right. Brett, how do you say this name, too? Batty?
My understanding is it's Brett Beatty. Because I've seen people tweet that this should be pronounced Batty because baseball's played with bats.
All right.
So I think it's
So we have 2 Beatties in the league now, wildly different spellings.
Yeah.
Brett Beatty homered on his first swing and his first at bat, which is something, if you've ever listened to any of Talking Baseball, Talking Yankees, something I advocate for. Even if you're not a home run hitter, your first pitch, if it's in the zone, you swing as hard as you can. You only get one shot. I wouldn't care if it was over their head and they swung. You get one shot to have the first swing of your MLB career as a home run. You got to take it, in my opinion. DeGrom gave up 3 earned runs in 6.2 innings pitched, took the loss. DeGrom has that crazy tweet. Did you see this DeGrom tweet about his miles per hour?
DeGrom, a tweet from him?
No. It's
I was gonna say I don't think I've seen him tweet.
Codify tweeted it. Percent of Jacob DeGrom fastballs that were 99 plus miles per hour in 2014, 0, 2015, 0.1, 2016, 0, 2017, 0.2, 2018, 0.8, 2019, 2.1%, 2020, 37%, 2021 and 2021, 61.8%. that kind of raises more questions for me than like wows me. Does he need to do it? Is it the same effort and arm speed he was throwing with before? He just found a slot and momentum and build up and grip that he's throwing harder now, or like, because he's also getting injured more recently. Does he not need to do that? I don't know. It's cool, but
with his
injuries, he struck out.
I'm scared.
He struck out someone in the Braves game yesterday. I know he didn't have a 101 low and away. Spotted it. It was so cool. Pitches like that are wild. All right. The best team in the NL, the Dodgers, they split with the Brew Crew. They're 17 up in the division. They're 17 up in the division. 7-3 in their last 10 games. Max Muncy is fully coming around. He's got a .415 on base percentage in his last 10 games, 8 extra base hits, 4 home runs. It reads like a Max Muncy line. Gavin Lux, 7 for his last 29, 2 homers and a triple. The triple almost was a home run. Gallo, 4 for his last 19, 3 homers. So he's enjoying LA much more than he did in New York. Urias, 5 shut in game 1. Freeman and Lux hit home runs. Kimbrel blows it in game 2. I'm talking about closers on the second half of the show. Gonsolin shut out. Heaney gave up 5 runs, 3 earned, but he struck out 10. The fuck is that about? Heaney, who are you? Playoff odds for the Dodgers, 99.9%. Holy moly. I'm pausing the clock, which I'm late on anyway, because I just talked way too much about everyone, BBD. And as I catch my breath, can you hit him with who's sponsoring the second half of this segment?
The second half of Jimmy's MLB Whip Around is brought to you by Manscaped. Fellas, fantasy football draft season. Jake is out doing that right now. He's having his fantasy draft weekend. It's right around the corner. CD Lamb is good, but have you seen D's beautiful balls? It's time to get your snake looking right for this snake draft with the sponsors of today's show, Manscaped. The leader in below-the-waist grooming have created a championship lineup with their Performance Package 4.0. Join the 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get ready for kickoff by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with code Talkin. Inside the Performance Package 4.0, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer. That's come in handy a bunch of times. Crop Preserver ball deodorant, tried that out a few weeks ago. It was an experience, felt clean. Crop Reviver toner, Performance Boxer Briefs, we love those. I'm wearing them right now. The travel bag, Jake has that with him in Austin. Tom Brady didn't come out of retirement for you to have hairy balls. Get 20% off plus free shipping with code TALKIN at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with code TALKIN. That's TALKIN, no G. At manscaped.com. Time to put the PP back in PPR and get a grip on your pigskin this season with Manscaped.
You can see why we improv it a lot of times.
They did a lot of fantasy football jokes, which I'm into this time of year. But.
All right. Timer back on. Let's see if I can be quicker this time. The AL 15th place A split with the Rangers. Ooh. A's are 21 back in the wild card. They're 2-8 in their last 10. Cap had a good start, and Athletics broke game 3 open with 4 in the 8th, including Shea Langoliers. People said that he looks like me, or I look like him. First career homer in the second game. Okay.
I haven't seen his face, but I love his body.
Tigers split a series with the Guardians.
Ooh.
Oh, they had a double header. Man, doubleheaders stink because people don't take them seriously. But Tigers, they split the doubleheader. The Guardians, they lost game 1. They won game 2. Then they won on Tuesday, and then they lost the final game. So Guardians, you need to win 3 of those games. Maybe the doubleheader wasn't there. I don't know. But the Tigers, you're 19.5 back in the wild card. You fired your GM. Do they currently not have a GM? Javi Baez is one of their hottest hitters lately, and the numbers aren't that hot at all. Javi Baez is, I asked Max to put their top 3 hitters last 10 games just to let people know who's been hot or not. And Javi Baez is one of the 3 on here, hottest Tigers hitters in the last 3 games. And he's got a .268 batting average, a .302 on base, and a .390 slugging.
Looks like that would be an OPS in the 6s. 693.
692, if I'm doing my math right. Damn.
Yeah. Still
Harry
the third
Carpenter
highest.
had 6 hits and 2 homers in his first 6 career games. So good for him. Yikes. All right. The Royals get swept by the Twins. 16.5 back in the wild card. They're 3-7 in their last 10. Vinny Pasquantino continues to hit, though. His last 10, 1.497 OPS with 5 homers. He had 5 homers in a 7-game span. Salvi, he's hitting. Good for him. And Michael Massey was recalled after the deadline and is slashing 296, 340, 435.
Ooh. I don't know if it was this series, but he homered last night.
Yeah. I mean,
Interesting.
and then in this series, man, whatever. Royals out. The Angels got swept by the Mariners. The Angels, oh my God, it did that breakdown. They just threw the ball around. They had the infield in, the good positioning. The catcher was just like incredibly not taught. If anything, like no one ever taught him to do less. He needed that lesson from Paul Rudd. Like, you're doing too much, do less. He was doing so much. Like 3 times he should have just held the ball and he didn't. If no one saw it, it's like Mariners. I'm happy that you won, but you got handed that win. But you are playing pretty well. Something interesting in Mariners land is that Kyle Lewis got sent down to AAA, Rookie of the Year. Kyle Lewis, right?
Yeah.
Tore out his knee. I think he really can't. He's not mobile anymore. He can't run. Like they're like he's really a DH now because of a knee injury. That's sad and sucks.
They don't let him play the field 2 days in a row anymore.
What's that?
They don't let him play the field 2 days in a row anymore, at least as of when the Yankees were playing them.
And they wanted him to DH, and so they sent him down to AAA. And the GM, he's very honest. He was like, he's fully healthy. He hasn't played since he got sent down. And the GM made it seem like he's just taking this really hard. And they gave him mental days because he was just like, did not think he'd get back down to AAA, and is coming to grips with the fact that the Mariners see him as just a DH now. That kind of alters his future. So it's an interesting situation. That's an aside because the Mariners are playing good baseball. They're winning. They're fun. They're crisp.
And his Rookie of the Year, and like he was a fun center fielder to watch. He was like, he believes that's still in him, but if he's got these injuries, that stinks.
Yeah. Shohei had 4 hits, 4 RBIs, his 27th home run, and they still lost. That's the Angels.
Tungsten.
The Rangers, they're your 11th seed in AL. They're 10.5 back in the wild card. They fired their coach and they had their GM do the press conference announcing why the manager was getting fired, Woodward. And then like 4 days later, they fired the GM and they asked him, the owner, I think it's the owner, did you know that you were going to fire him when he was doing that press conference talking about why he fired the manager? And he said, yeah.
Jeez.
So what?
Bizarre.
He's like, I didn't want them to be conjoined. He was like, it was the GM's decision to fire the coach. And then we fired him. And it doesn't make any sense. It's kind of, it just seems like fucked up for fucked up sake.
Guy. Yeah. And those are 2 positions that are very typically linked.
Yeah. I don't really understand it. Yeah. It was really weird. Dunning had a good start, 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs to salvage a series. Good for him. Their playoff odds are 0.1. Red Sox are in 10th place. They took 2 out of 3 from the Pirates. They're 5 back in the wild card. They're 5-5 in their last 10. Verdugo's starting to hit. He's 13 for his last 34 with 6 doubles, 1 OPS in August. Can you pull up Verdugo's numbers on the year now? I'm very much rooting for him to pull it together and have good numbers on the year. Tommy Pham.
His numbers on the year, he has just gotten over a league average OPS plus.
Okay, keep going, Doogie. Hey, they also picked up Elvis Andrus, the Red Sox.
The White Sox.
The White Sox did. Oh, I got my Sox mixed up.
That's so fair.
Yeah. Red Sox have a 4% chance to win the wild card, 0.1 for the division. White Sox, they picked up Elvis Andrus at shortstop. They also had 2 really exciting games against the Astros where they won. They came back. They won 4-2. Then they won 4-3. Then on Wednesday, they lost 3-2. Like, all right, we can still win the series. And at worst, it's a split. So we'll walk away feeling good. Wrong. Giolito gets blown up. They give up 21 runs in game 4. And I think even though they split the series, the White Sox are walking away like, what? And the Astros are walking away like, eh. But I am a little concerned about one tiny aspect of the Astros. That's one of the topics later on. And it goes back to those first 2 losses a little bit. The White Sox also had a fan tell Tony La Russa to pinch run angle. And then he did. And then he was the go-ahead run. I don't know if they asked Tony La Russa about that. I don't know if he really made the move because the fan yelled, or they kind of came up at the same time. I had the footage and I wanted to make a breakdown, but I've been crazy busy. I still want to, because just like the headline alone, fan tells manager
Fun to look into
what to do. Yeah. Giolito's having a rough season.
Yeah.
White Sox have a 13% chance of the wild card and a 35% chance at the division, or 22% chance at division. So
get high.
How about that? And the Twins, they do the sweeping of the Royals, who we already talked about, which is good because it puts them 1.5 out of the wild card, because Cleveland is still up there, and only 1 back of Cleveland. So that's going to be fun. White Sox are 2.5 back. The Centrals is pretty fun. The Twins, Ryan had a good start. Sonny Gray had a really good start. Molly exit after 2.1 innings, so that's kind of scary. But they checked out okay, they're saying. So 5 relievers for the Twins had to come in to the last game because Molly left in the 3rd, and they finished it out. Who were the relievers? Because they traded for so many relievers. I think the Twins trades are working, the deadline trades, so that's cool. The Orioles took 2 out of 3 from the Blue Jays. And you're like, shit, are the Orioles the best team in the East currently? They're 2.5 back in the wild card, 11.5 back in the East, 5-5 in their last 10. Odor's still doing what he does, but Mateo, he's hitting, he's getting on base, he's hitting homers. His first career 5-hit game. Cedric Mullins tapered down a little bit, but his number, they're the top 3 hitters. So looks like the offense probably tapered down. Mullins and Adley go back to back in the 5th to tie the game. Then Urias puts the O's on the board in the top. Both went 6 shutout innings in game 3. And I also think I had a note here. I think this pertains to the Orioles, which is good. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. The Orioles, the new Baseball America released their midseason farm rankings. The Orioles are number 1. And they've already graduated some guys. So that's pretty cool. The Blue Jays, they lost 2 out of 3 of the Orioles. They're the 6th seed, as the Orioles were the 7 seed. They're 9 back in the division. They're tied for the 2nd wild card. They're 4-6 in their last 10 games, but they just beat the Yankees yesterday, which isn't part of this. Bo Bichette, 9 for his last 33 with 3 homers and 2 doubles. Vladdy hit a homer yesterday, not part of these numbers. Kikuchi had another not great start. They moved him to the bullpen. In the next series against the Yankees last night, we saw that for the first time. Stripling was perfect through 6 innings in game 3. The Blue Jays are in there. I think there's 67 chance to be a wild card team. They have a 0.2 at the division. I don't know. I think they're gathering, figuring out pitching and bullpen. I don't really know. They look fine. The Rays, except they got Witt playing center field, and I've seen some times where he doesn't look natural or normal out there.
Even like in Kansas City, the years he bounced around position to position the most, it was mostly right field. So a little curious.
Yeah. All right. The Rays, they took 2 out of 3 from the Yankees. They're 9 back in the division. They're tied for the 2nd wild card. They're 6-4 in their last 10. I think they just won yesterday as well. Mejia, he had a couple big hits in the series. He's batting .391 his last 10 games, .440 at a 3-run homer off Chapman in a game that the Yankees went to lose, but a nice swing. Arozarena, His numbers aren't great in his last 10, but I'm telling you, don't throw him a fastball right now. Nestor Cortez made that mistake, and he absolutely jumped it. Fairbanks came back. He's been pitching out of the pen. Beeks had 2 shutout innings as an opener, but then he gave up the walk-off grand slam. Rays look good. We'll get to the Yankee side later. The Mariners swept the Angels. We talked about that from the Angels side. The Angels were awful. Mariners are 7-3 in their last 10 games. They are they're 11.5 back in the division, but 1 up in the wild card. How about that? 1 up. Sam Haggerty. They're calling him Ham Swaggerty. He's got good numbers in his last 10. Actually, he's got a 323 batting average and a 289 on base. Is that right? Is that like a sac fly thing?
I think so.
Luis Castillo had another good start, looking like he was worth the trade. Mariners took the lead in the 6th. Yeah, I talked about that. It was just a mess. Their playoff odds are 91% for the Mariners. That's awesome. Good for them.
It.
The Guardians are the 3rd best team in the AL, or did it just because they're the division leader?
I think they would be the 3rd seed.
Because they're division leaders. Yeah, okay. They split the doubleheader. They're playing with a lot of fire. I mean, they had a comeback. They struck out 3 times. The first 3 batters all struck out, but the third one reached on a drop third strike to keep the inning alive, and they were down 4-2 at the time. Then they went on to score 4 runs to walk out of the inning 6-2. So they're kind of doing a lot of fun stuff. Clase, closers, talk about him later. Oh, my God. He's nuts. They have a 60% chance to make the playoffs. The Yankees are your 2 seed. Yankees are in a dark, dark spot right now. They have lost 3 of their last 10. I think it's like 3 of their last 15.
I think it's
awful.
I saw one tweet. Oh, well, I think it was Carabas. He was doing a troll tweet. Yankees have 3 wins, and Montgomery has 3 wins since the trade.
Yeah, all their trade deadline moves are not working. Benintendi hasn't really got going. He can play a better left field than they had before. He's striking out more than they would have liked because he wasn't a strikeout hitter. Montas has another awful start for them. Josh Donaldson had a big grand slam in this series, which helped them out a little bit. Judge is getting pitched around and then also just like nibbling at the bottom of the zone, which is like his one weak spot. And then if you get the strike, you're going to get it. Otherwise, it's a ball and you just walk them. One of these games was like the worst Yankees game I watched as a Yankees fan. I'm just like, made me like despondent and awful. And it was gross and I didn't like it. It'd become a background watch for me where I'll put something else on my main TV and then put the Yankee game on my laptop after like the 6th inning. Just awful vibes.
I pulled that move for the first time, having them just like fully not on my TV last night, which isn't this series.
It's just, I mean, they're still 9 up. I still think they can have a good September. They need some pieces back. Stanton is more needed than ever. But yeah,
teams are not pitching to Aaron Judge anymore, and it is the right choice.
Yep. It's a bad time. The Astros are your number 1 seed in the AL. They split with the White Sox. They lost the first 2 games. They're, like I said, they won 21-5 on the last game. They're 11.5 up in their division, 7 of the last 3. Alex Bregman's been hot lately, 432 average in his last 10 games. He's got a 512 on base percentage. Nuts. Kyle Tucker's going crazy. And Christian Vasquez in his last 10 games, they traded for him. He's 9 for his last 19, but they're all singles, and that's fine. That's who he is. But he's got a 474 on base percentage.
That stat line's so funny.
Yeah, his stat line in his last 9 games, or his stat line in his last 10 games is 474 batting average, 474 on base percentage, 474 slugging. His slash line since becoming an Astro is 357 batting average, 357 on base, 357 slugging. And if you're going to be just a singles hitter, then you got to have the on base percentage too to make sure it gets up that high, and you got to actually hit.
Got to get that many singles.
If you're not going to slug, then you got to walk and you got to really hit. To all my IKF stands out there who keep telling me he has value. Well, no, because he only had bats like 270, no extra base hits, and no walks. Whatever. Playoff odds 99.9%. I went way over the 30 minutes. I went 40 minutes.
It's not too bad.
That's every team. They've all been talked about. Now I'm going to move on to the things I want to talk about. And we'll keep going.
Keep going.
Let's see. I'll do the umpires first. So there's been a lot of plays at the plate this season. You saw Rocco Baldelli get mad about it. Recently, you saw Austin Hedges get mad about it. There was one in Pittsburgh, I believe. There have been a lot of plays at the plate where the catcher has the ball, gets the runner out. The umpire on the field calls him out. They review it, and the replay control center says, no, you did not give him a lane, reversed. That's the run scores. I think we've gotten 9 of them this year. And I think in previous years, since this has been allowed and a rule since like 2014, there was like 5 or something like that. So it's just really gone up, this call, like the umpires in New York actually making the call. Austin Hedges came out and had some real pointed words, and he'll probably say it on Rose rotation because he's on there with Rosie all the time. But he just said again, like, no accountability. You have guys with too much control, all this stuff. I want to hear what's happening, what's going on. So the umpires released a tersely worded statement regarding the criticism. ESPN and some articles, Jesse Rogers wrote an article about it. The only thing that's weird to me is we don't have the full statement, which I would love, you know? Like we just have snippets of the statement from this ESPN article. And not the full thing. I'll read what we have and I'll explain it to you. Jesse Rogers, ESPN umpires, because I have like an ABC article and all they're doing is copying and pasting it. Okay. So multiple reviews have been overturned. Let me see. The umpire said some stuff. Umpire said, it's simple. Don't block home plate without possession of the baseball or change the rule. So they're saying we're just enforcing the rule in the rule book. But it's interesting because it's been in the rule book for a while and they never enforced it like this. Now, apparently they put out a memo to all the teams saying we're enforcing this rule more than we used to this year. And I guess teams just kind of like, all right, sure. But now they really are. You're getting teams and players pissed off because it cost them the game. And it's a run. You know, it's not a base runner, like a run. It's as Pete Alonso said, it's a run scoring competition. Umpire said, and I quote, recently we have seen catchers taking advantage of runners they expect will slide by moving into the base running lane without possession of the ball in violation of Rule 6.01 I2. Such conduct only invites runners to collide with catchers, causing potential injury to players in a manner that the rule was designed to prevent. Catchers may not block the pathway, runners, blah, 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 blah. That's the boring part. Then the umpire said, it is also inaccurate to say that Major League Baseball umpires are not held accountable. It is often said of our profession that umpires are expected to be perfect from the start and then they get better from there. And I love that they put that because that's just like their creed, like what they tell themselves. You know what I'm getting? You know,
yeah.
Like that's like
They're
that's
the ones
just
that
what you tell
that.
yourselves. Like, what's the Marines? Like the bravest and the boldest or whatever?
The few, the proud.
Yeah. But it would be like, you know, people say we are the bravest and the boldest. And it's like, you say that.
Nobody needed that.
I can tell you only umpires have said you're expected to be perfect from the start and get better from there. Like, that's just something you guys tell yourselves because to like talk about how hard the job is, which it is incredibly hard. I'm always on that side, but you can't use that. It's not like other people are saying that. So that line was like, made me laugh. Like, guys, that's just how you compliment yourselves. And then they said, like players, our mistakes are subject to intense public scrutiny. And we are also held accountable by our employer in performance evaluations. Although we don't always know in real time if our calls are correct, we review them closely following the game and try to learn from any mistakes. Now, I'm always on the side that some of these calls are too hard to make, and like umpiring is an impossible task and all that. But this is nonsense. There's just saying public scrutiny. Of course, man, you're doing something in public. Like, you're doing something that people watch. Of course, you're held to public scrutiny. That's not,
and people have,
you're
like,
not
rooting
facing
interest
reporters.
And don't see like the real thing.
Players have to face reporters after games who are egging them on and asking about every mistake. Hey, that strikeout, what was going through your mind? Like, and then they do it. So you're not held to that accountability where you have to answer questions. You do a pool report where you utter bullshit. No one can counter your bullshit statements, and then you move on. So you're not held to the same accountability as players. You get your employee performance reviews, sure, but they're secret. No one can see them. So what does that good do? You won't share them with you. You won't make the employee reviews public, and umpires don't get sent down. Angel Hernandez has one of the worst umpires we've seen, and he doesn't get sent down. So what are you talking about? Just be like, public scrutiny isn't the same as losing your job, which is what MLB players and coaches get when they fuck up too much. They get sent down. They're not part of Major League Baseball anymore. So for the umpires to be like, we've had enough, we're coming out with our it's like, dude, you guys sound pissy, and it's none of this is true. You're not held accountable. Your reviews are private. You know, you still get to call games no matter how bad you fuck up.
Incredible job security.
And we got like 80-year-olds. Joe West was how old? So
Joe
I
West
get it that they're in a rock and a hard
69.
place. If like, what's that?
He's only 69, but man.
Well, he's got the body of an 80-year-old.
Yeah.
Nah, 80-year-old will wither down by that point. But this is a stupid statement. Umpires should have just stayed silent. Like, either you're silent or you say things that are real. But this is a bad statement. And maybe they didn't reveal the whole thing because this is worse. I get that they're in a rock and a hard place with the rule. Like, that's the rule. We're just enforcing the rule. Sure, fine. Then MLB needs to alter the rule. Because a lot of these they're not blocking the runner. They step into the lane as the ball is coming, which worded says it's okay. And then they catch the ball and they block the runner. And like Hedges is right. Like, these are runs. This is going to happen in the postseason. Yeah. It's kind of like how NHL kind of had the goalie interference happen. And then in the postseason, it happened. So that article piqued my interest. I don't know if that would usually get talked about on the show. Definitely not a Friday recap. Like, no way. Yeah. But that piqued my interest. I thought it was interesting that they came out and said stuff.
We are just about to hit the 1 hour mark, just so you know.
All right. The next segment is brought to you by
CSG.
CSG,
yeah.
An expert and impartial third-party authentication and grading service for sports cards. You guys like sports cards? Well, every CSG certified sports card is backed with a CSG guarantee of authenticity and grade, which is the strongest in the industry. Collectors know they can buy and sell with peace of mind when a card is in the CSG holder because its authenticity and condition are guaranteed. CSG constantly has the best turnaround times and pricing among the leading third-party sports card grading services. So if you're into cards, you want to check them out. Grade your sports cards with CSG. Get $15 off yearly memberships with promo code baseball at csgcards.com. There will be a link in the description.
There's a link in the description. They sent over a few cards with the CSG box. And I got to tell you, one, I enjoy the box they sent them in. They feel really good.
I like that.
They got a Garrett Cole. Heard of him? Hank Aaron, heard of him. 2021 Yankees. They weren't a fun team, but I've heard of them. And Connor Wong, he's kind of the oddball in the group they sent over, but it's cool. They are all rated a 10. They send us their best.
Okay. Appreciate that.
CSG.
Awesome. All right. This is I'll do a couple quick ones because there's other ones that I kind of spent time on, so I want to talk about, I guess. Passon tweeted out about the Braves, how to keep the core together. They have Austin Riley through 2032. They have Matt Olson through 2030. Michael Harris II through 2030. 2030 just sounds foreign to me, like alien. I remember when back in 2004 or 2005, they started making quarters, and every state was going to get their own quarter. And then you would get the little piece of cardboard so you could collect them. And the whole collection was going to be done by 2008. And I was like, 2008? That's fucking sounds like a fake year. That's how 2030 is sounding to me right now. But we'll get here. Yeah. And I guess then 2050 will sound nuts. I think my son will be like graduating high school. Acuna through 2020. Vaughn Grissom, 2028. Ozzie Albies, 2027. Spencer Strider, 2027. William Contreras, 2027. Kyle Wright, 2026. Max Fried, 2024. They're getting these guys on deals. Austin Riley said about his deal, why he wanted to be there. They are, I used to say the Padres were the best team for young fans because they're out there. And the Dodgers as well. Like those two teams, most fun to be fans of if you're getting in the sport because they go out, they get the free agent, they make the trade, they're constantly doing and stuff. I don't know, man. I think the Braves might be the best team to be a fan of. Their strategy is awesome. Find the best local Southern boys who grew up loving the Braves.
Lock them in.
And then lock them up because you're like, hey, it's groupthink over there. Isn't this fun? Isn't this the most fun you've had playing ball? And don't you want to be with this group forever? You could make more money later on, sure, but then you probably not on the team and you be with a different group and not in your hometown. It's nuts. Like Michael Harris, he's from Georgia as well, right?
I believe so.
They were reportedly offering Dansby Bogarts money, $270 million. He's got to think about it.
Starting those conversations with him.
They're offering ice cream machines if they win the series. They're just fun, man. And that's so cool to be like, you can do it with the Braves because Braves country is it's like the South. It's so big.
Geographically so large. Expensive.
That's really fun. I mean, this is good for baseball, in my opinion. I always say that. Like, you want fans to have ties to their players and the names that are going to be around and a part of it and like there and have good vibes. And that's why I Rays fans love it, but I wouldn't enjoy being a Rays fan because I want to be like lock onto a dude's personality. And he's like part of the team and he's part of the community. And that's basically the whole fucking team.
Yeah, their whole team is like obviously they have guys early in their like rookie scale deals, but they have guys locked in for way beyond that. Acuna and Albies are on their cheap deals, which allows the rest of them to happen. Riley's now locked in. Matt Olson was traded for and extended. Really cool.
It's wild.
That's awesome for fans.
Okay, another thing I saw that I thought was super interesting I wanted to talk about, and it was put together by Reddit user Johnny J. Curve. So obviously all credit goes to him because he made this, he got all the data, and then he posted it to Reddit, and it's fun. So a lot of people think their closer, like there's certain things every baseball fan says about their team. Can't hit with runners in scoring position. We play down to our competition. And our closer could never be easy. Always got to put someone on. Like those three things, every fan base says. And you don't realize every fan base says it. It's kind of like I moved a lot as a kid. And I went to 2 different high schools, but I did middle school in a third town, and I went to the high school football games for there. So I went to 3 different high schools football games. And when I got to the third, people would always be like, yeah, yeah, we run out to AC/DC. And I was like, everyone does. And I was like, what? That's my school song. And I was like, no, every high school football team runs out and has an ACD song playing during their games. And like, how do you know? And I was like, well, I went to 3 high schools and all 3 of them did. And I just telling you, like, no, that's I'm pretty sure it's our song. I'm like, no, that's how it is with our team can't hit with runners in scoring position. Our closer, it just can never be easy. And we play down to our competition. Just everyone says those. Sometimes they're very true. Other times they're wrong. There are stats here about clean innings from closers, right? So this guy, Johnny J. Curve, put it together. He has 27 guys here that have had, over 15 or more save opportunities. And then how many of those did they allow a base runner? And it's wild. So Emmanuel Clase is nuts. He's the best for the Guardians. He's had 29 save opportunities. He's converted 27 saves. 18 of the 29, 0 base runner allowed for 62%. Now, where I say every team says this, 3rd and 4th place are 50%. And if your closer allows a base runner to reach 50% of the time he pitches, I guarantee you're out there saying it's never easy because you remember the bad more than good. And that's tied for 3rd best. 50%. That's why I say this is something that every team says. Ryan Helsley for the Cardinals, he's 2nd best. 53% of the time, no base runner reaches 53%. So now here's the fan bases that are going to be vindicated. Craig Kimbrell, 80% or 79.13% of the time, he allows a base runner. 80% of his games, he allows a base runner to reach. And you're right. It's never easy. You can say that there. I believe Craig Kimbrell just had his first 1-run save of the year. I think he's only gotten 5 chances at a 1-run save, but I think he just converted his first 1-run save of the year. Giovanni Gallegos, he's worse, but he's not in the closer role anymore for St. Louis. Emilio Pagan, he's worse. He's not there. They traded for a lot of relief. And Tanner Rainey for the Nationals. I don't think he's the closer or it matters. So of all the closers going into the postseason, Kimbrell is the worst by far. 80% of the time he allows a base runner. It's not good. But I just wanted you guys to know 50% is good. That's 3rd best. There's only 2 guys out there.
Allowing a base runner, normal.
Very normal. Every single fan base says that. But yeah, Emmanuel Clase, crazy, man. 93% of his saves he's converted. Soto's the 2nd highest for the Tigers, 92%. So good shit. Josh Hader and Paul Sewald are the 2 tied for 3rd at 50% of the time they allow a base runner. So good work by Johnny J. Curve on Reddit. I found that super fascinating. That I might have been able to sneak into a normal episode as an award. I would have snuck that in as an award. So it would have found its way into our normal format. And then here's the next thing that I put together. And sometimes, most Fridays, I spend 8 a.m. to 12:30 prepping for Talking Baseball. Like the whole morning. And then I say one wrong thing, and every single comment is about how I don't know shit and I don't know anything. And that's why I kind of hate doing the show now. It's like, oh, I put in 4 hours of work and that wasn't worth it at all. Yeah. And I didn't want to do it this morning, BBD, because I wanted to work on breakdowns, but then I ran into fucking something that led to me doing a Google sheet, copy and pasting stats for 3 hours again. So they announced the postseason schedule and it's condensed, right? So the wild card game is 3 games right in a row. If you win, you're going to get 2 off days, I believe. And then you start the divisional series. If you go all 3 games, then it's a game off and then a divisional series. The divisional series, the 5-game set, there's an off day eliminated. So you go 1, 2, games 1, game 2, travel day, game 3, game 4. You're still traveling, but you don't get a travel day. So game 5 is right after game 4 with the flight. So and the same thing for the CS. Okay. So the CS is game 6 to 7. There's going to be no travel day. I like it. It tests the depth more of teams because you've seen teams like the 2019 Nationals, like the 2009 Yankees go 3 pitchers, 3 relievers. That's it. Bring us home. You need more of a staff now. So I wanted to look at every team. Can you hear that in the background?
I don't hear anything.
If you knew how loud, whatever that is. Fill 10 seconds out. I got to shut this door.
I'm filling 10 seconds. New postseason format. Weird
It's
off
shut.
days. Window.
I should tweet out a video. I just had like someone's using a table saw upstairs.
Huh.
I'll tweet this out just at Talkin Baseball, so it's just a response tweet only. I mean, now I'm really fucking powering through it here, Beeps.
Proud of you. Proud of you.
Like,
It's just really going.
it's louder than my
can't hear
voice.
anything.
It's louder than my voice.
I was reading, this is related, but not the point I think you're trying to make. I was reading something about the postseason format. For whatever reason, I think the AL DS is on a slightly different schedule than NL, whereas like there's an off day between games 1 and 2.
Oh, okay.
I think in
That's
the AL
interesting.
and not the NL. So in theory, and then again between games 2 and 3 for the travel day. It's really weird. And then 3, 4, 5 are all in a row. I believe that's not the case in the NL, and I believe it's in the DS. The World Series is the normal schedule, and it's weird. So you can have your number 1 start game 1 and they could do game 3 on short rest. And then
Let's check.
it's weird.
The long distances are going to stink. So say it's
and whoever has to play the Mariners.
they're playing right now. It'd be like the Rays right away in the 3-game set. But if the Mariners win, it would be right now. It'd be the Astros playing them. Phillies Dodgers or Braves Dodgers is lined up for the DS right now. That would be a long flight. All right. So what I looked at, because I wanted to look at the condensedness of I put this together. You can share this sheet, I think.
I think I put a link in there. You might have to change like permissions to say like anyone can view.
I think I did that.
Let me give a refresh.
Anyone with the link, view. Done. Okay.
Bang.
A lot of my Google Sheets are like very organized, but only to my brain. And a lot of like Sam and a lot of our employees have had to struggle with that. I need color coding and shit, but it's also also odd. First thing I want to look at was, all right, hey, if you got to play 3 wild card games before you get to the DS, and then you have to play all those games in a row, like you're going to need pitchers that go 3 times through the order. Your starting pitchers are going to need to eat innings if you want to survive this postseason. And I'm talking, you get to the CS and you're not like incredibly taxed, because that's what happened to the Yankees in 2019. Zach Britton said it. Now it happened to the Rays in 2020 in the World Series, but they were kind of taxed by the time they got to the World Series, and then they just kept going.
And they weren't travel days, so they got rid of off days in the World Series, in the playoffs that year. So Rays got there as well.
Yeah. Yes, true. And that's a little not as harsh as this, but still there. So I got all the playoff teams or potential teams, and I was looking at their staff and their numbers third time through the rotation, and I was trying to look for some scary situations. Twins, you're the scariest. Joe Ryan has a 7.13 ERA third time through the rotation. Sonny Gray has an 8.25 ERA third time through the rotation. Tyler Mahle, he's got the best, but it's 5. It's a 4.94 ERA the third time through the rotation. That Joe Ryan has an 8.56 OPS against him third time through. Sonny Gray has an 8.17. Mahle 6.50. I put Bundy on there. I don't think he's getting a start, but he's your 4. I think. I don't know. I tweeted out. I asked every fan base to let me know who their top 3 were. But yeah, that's not good, man. That's the worst, right? So then I said, okay, well, do they have bullpen that can cover this? Because if you're not going third time through the rotation, which all the Twins numbers are bad, then you're going to need a lot of bullpen. They traded for a lot of bullpen. But in the postseason, you want to use your top guys. Even if you're losing by 2, losing by 1, those innings are going to a guy that usually now comes in with a 1-run lead or a tie game. You're not using your slop guy in a wild card series. So then I went and looked at their bullpen, every team's bullpen, to see how their top 4 or 5 high leverage guys do on 0 days rest. Because the wild card is 3 games in a row, right?
Yeah, that's just 3 games.
So that's the formula you're going to need to do. You're going to need to have starters who can go 3 times through the order, and then relievers who can go on back-to-back days. And the Twins, I think, let me just double check this. I think struggled there as well. Jorge Lopez has been horrible on 1-day rest. He has, this has to be wrong. The period's in the wrong spot on this one. He has a 7.04 OPS, but a not horrible. But a 3.38 ERA. It's not good. He's got 3.48 on base percentage against after 1-day rest. He's done it 15 times, 16 innings. It's a decent enough sample, but the numbers aren't good. Duran, also not good. He's got a 3.2 ERA. And then you're saying 3.2 ERA, that's not bad, but we're talking reliever ERA and small sample size. He's got a 9.33 OPS a bunch. So I don't like that for the Twins. I don't like that the playoff format you need for a wild card game, they're not set up for it. The good thing about the Twins is they have a lot of names. They have Lopez, Jax, Fulmer, Duran, so they can maybe spread them out, but they have a lot of names. Let's see. The Brewers were another team that this formula doesn't like. And you think of the Brewers, you think pitching. Woodruff has been bad third time through the rotation. 9.44 OPS against with a 9.18 ERA. Lauer's been bad third time through. 9.20 OPS against with a 5.28 ERA. Even Burns has a 4.5 ERA third time through. Freddie Peralta might be there. He hasn't been allowed to do it. Only 6 games and not a lot of batters faced. So the Brewers, and they're smart. They play by these rules. They're going to stretch pitchers. The Brewers might not be there, but if they are, that's what they're going to have to do. And then Taylor Rogers, who they traded for, he's struggled on 0 days rest. He's got an 8.18 ERA. Devin Williams has been good on 0 days rest. Boxberger's been bad. So BBD, I don't know if he shared this with the live chat, but we can put it in the description. It's pretty shoddy. It's my Google Sheet work. And I mean, it's up to date today. But this is kind of how I look at, the Dodgers are set up, but they're fine because they are not a wild card team. Now, I mentioned the Astros. The Astros bullpen, and they've seen this against the Yankees when when Presley had to go back-to-back and against the White Sox when they go to back-to-back, they've had a couple times where the Astros bullpen has faltered on 0 days rest. They're not going to be in the wild card, obviously. But still, you might have to do that, or you're definitely going to have to do that. And you got guys that aren't good at it. Neris isn't good. Presley's awful with 0 days rest. He's got a 1.072 ERA or OPS with a 10 ERA. Hector Neris has a bad ERA. Will Smith has a bad ERA, and they all get hit pretty hard on 0 days rest. So the Astros were another team that stood out in that way to me. The Guardians are, I think, tough in a 3-game series. Clase, I already told you how good he's been as a closer. He's pitched on 0 days rest 17 times. I think that's the most out of everyone I tracked. 17 games on 0 days rest. 0 ERA. 170 on base percentage against. A 342 OPS against. Clase is awesome on 0 days rest. And then Trevor Stephen, he's pretty good on 0 days rest too. Karinchak, they don't ask him to do it a lot. Brian Shaw he's got good slash line, but not a great ERA. But yeah, the Guardians, they're winning the division now, which still helps. I don't think they've been great third time through the order. Not bad. The slash lines are pretty good all around, besides Plesac, but I don't think he's part of it. I think it's McKenzie, Bieber, Quantrill, but they have some rocky ERAs, but their slash lines are good. So I like that. Let's see. I see Mickey, the trailer guy. He said, has he done St. Louis yet? We shared this so the people in chat can look. You can go look, but I'll do St. Louis. St. Louis has a lot of starters. Let me see. Let me get Palenti out of there because he's not a starter. They have a lot of starters. So, it's going to be Waino. He hasn't been great third time through. He's got, they start to slug against him. He's got a 744 OPS, but a 4.35 ERA. Again, not many people have phenomenal ERAs, so you have to do it with a little bit of a.
Pretty much everyone is at least a little worse the third time.
A curve,
the previous.
Yeah, but they have a lot of starters, and so this also teams that have a lot of starters, right? Like St. Louis, or like the Astros, or there's another team out there that I'm blanking on that can throw a starter. The Mets. Peterson, they can throw a starter to the bullpen. That'll help. If you're up, so say you're up like 4 or 5 runs, and then you do what the Nationals did and you get Patrick Corbin, ask Peterson, and you say, go get these last so you don't have to burn your high leverage guys. That's the formula, especially with condensed schedule and not enough games. Let me get the Cardinals relievers. Gallegos, he's not great on 0 days rest. Neither is Cabrera. Helsley's fine. Hicks, they've only done it twice. Palante, they haven't done it at all. Maybe something they should start doing. Yeah, I'm not going to go every team. Like I said, we shared it.
Yeah.
But I just think that's kind of the formula I think is going to help win is a condensed playoff series. And I think we've seen this. Is all right. You need to have your high leverage guys be able to go back-to-back nights, or at least on 1 day's rest. You need your starters to go 3 times through the order, and you need your 4 or 5 starter to be able to come out of the bullpen. So interesting. Blue Jays. Someone asked about the Blue Jays. Barrios is bad the third time through, but he's also just not good. But I think they're gonna have him start game 3 because they got money wrapped up in him, but I don't know because Stripling's been pretty good lately. Stripling's not good third time through the order.
They have the most bullpen guys good on 0 days rest, which helps.
Yeah. So this is what I spent the morning making and looking at because I was like, that's kind of interesting. Oh, the Mets. The Mets have They have 3, I think, of the worst relievers on 0 days rest, but not their big guys, Givens and Lugo. But I think someone else wasn't great either on the Mets. Ottavino, they don't ask him to do a lot. Yeah. Trevor May hasn't done it yet this year. He's just coming back. So you're looking at teams that have the best relievers that go on 0 rest that have actually pitched. Jason Adam for the Rays. He's been pretty good. He's done it 17 times. Manuel Clase, he's been amazing. He's done it 17 times. Matt Bush in Milwaukee, but not that much. Devin Williams in Milwaukee. Edwin Diaz has been good on 0 days rest.
He's good.
A lot of the Houston pitchers haven't, so I don't know. Yeah.
Philly, their relievers seemed good.
Philly's relievers were so odd to me.
Yeah.
Like, what? They all got traded for, which meant I had to get the stats a different way. Yeah, they look pretty good. Alvarado, not good. D-Rob, good. Dominguez, good.
Don't believe in, but
yeah, Brad Hand, good. Who's got the best whip? Out of people that have actually done it, Dominguez on the Phillies has the best whip at 5.17. And Wandy for the Yankees is pretty good. Penn Murphy's pretty good, but I was looking at his usage and I don't think he's doing like holds anymore.
Really?
And he got bumped down, or he was doing it sporadically, or it's just matchups based. I don't know.
Odd.
I don't know. All right, let's stimulate and get out of here, Beebs.
Sounds
ready?
Good. I'm ready.
All right. The Mariners and the Rays, they play a 3-game set. Now, the Rays have a ton of starters and a ton of relievers and a bunch of people coming off the IL, so they were a hard task. But the Mariners got a good one, too. Who wins?
Ooh, the Rays.
Ooh, okay. The Rays. The Guardians and the Blue Jays are lined up for the wild card.
Cleveland.
Go Guardians, go. How about that? Did you say that just because you want the Yankees to face the Guardians in the divisional series?
I don't want it. Cleveland wins.
Damn. Tough to say otherwise right now. Yankees can't win shit. Astros and Rays?
Astros.
Astros, Guardians. Championship series. How about that? The Braves and the Phillies, they're set to play the wild card. The 4 versus the 5.
Braves.
Nice. Cardinals and Padres.
Ooh, the Padres.
Really? Oh, the Padres were an interesting one on there because everyone's telling me that Clevenger is going to be one of their wild card starters. He's not good third time through the rotation. Ooh. And their reliever situation is weird. And not good either. So I don't know if you can do Clev unless you do a like the teams like that. They have so many starters that they can do a bulk, you know, with another starter.
Yeah.
Dusty has a plan. Padres and Mets in the divisional series.
The Mets.
Ooh, that's going to be one pissy series on Twitter. Dodgers and Braves.
The Braves.
Oh, they got that juju, dude. I had a premonition. I was like, fuck, they're going to repeat, huh? It just popped into my head the other day. And I was, okay, yeah, wow.
Might have popped into my head 20 seconds ago.
Damn. Okay, Braves and Mets. That's an awesome championship series.
I'm excited for it.
And crossing their fingers and hoping.
Braves.
It's actually an awesome NL playoff.
Yeah.
The whole thing there was good.
Pretty interesting.
Kind of a shit AL. Astros, Guardians. Championship series.
Houston.
Oh, God. Astros continue to make the Stimulator World Series. I think that's 4 in a row. 5 in a row. There are the class, though. All right. Astros, Braves. Now, this would be like the 4th World Series out of the last 5 years for the Astros, and it'd be a new opponent? No.
No, this would be a repeat of last
The Braves beat them last year.
And they've been, like 2020 was a weird year.
Wake up,
They've
Jimmy.
been all the other ones. Braves win again.
Braves win. Wow. Good job by the stimulator. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in and hanging out with us. I appreciate it very much. I had fun.
I liked that.
Some conversations I wanted to deep dive in and got to. Appreciate you. Enjoy your weekend. Jake sucks. Oh, I was early?
No.
Eating peanut balls as a dessert.
Ooh, interesting.